Hello and welcome to the video. This video is entitled "There is no sense in a nation having 'In God We Trust' on its currency, and yet at the same time allegedly giving witches freedom and liberty and all this other stuff." All right. Same thing goes for homosexuals and every other thing that violates God's commandments. All right. Did you know that witches do not believe in any God at all? All right. So, by definition, witchcraft is a special form of atheism. Well, the Declaration of Independence says you get your rights from God. You don't get your rights from a non existent entity because a non existent entity cannot give you rights. All right. So, witches do not have rights according to the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. They have no religion because they don't believe in God. All right. They are atheists. And you do not have a right to be an atheist in a country that has under God, in God we trust, on its currency. So I don't know where they get this nonsense of calling me hate speech for being against atheists and witches and pagans and all this other stupidity that people in the United States believe in. That's not hate speech. In fact, uh, the Bible in the book of Leviticus tells you that if you love your neighbor, you will rebuke your neighbor and not suffer sin upon them. So, me opposing homosexuality and witchcraft and atheism and other mortal sins does not make me hate speech. That actually means that I love you enough to correct your wrongdoing and hopefully somehow save your soul from going to hell. That's not hate speech. That's a misnomer. There's no such thing as hate speech. The book of Proverbs says open rebuke is better than secret love. If you claim you have love and yet you're an abortionist, you're a liar. Abortionist is completely the opposite of love. That's you murdering an innocent unborn baby because you're too lazy and evil to care for an innocent unborn baby. That doesn't make me hateful for saying that. I just got banned from Twitter for calling out Kamala Harris and Joe Biden for supporting abortion because they're committing the same genocide that the Nazis committed against the Jews. It doesn't make me hateful for saying that. If you love somebody, you will correct them. You're not going to sit around and, oh, I love you in your sin. That's a lie. It says, God said, come out from among them and be you holy, for I am holy. And besides all that, even for you Christians, for example, Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. And then when his opponents asked him who is his neighbor, Jesus didn't tell him that sinners were his neighbor. Jesus said that the Good Samaritan was somebody who did good to you and saved your life from thieves and then poured in the oil and wine ointment to cure your illness. So that's somebody that does good is your neighbor. Your neighbor is not a habitual sinner or a witch or a homosexual. Jesus didn't come to die for witches and homosexuals. If Jesus was alive today, I think if the biblical Jesus actually was alive today, he'd rebuke you all for believing in homosexuals and witches somehow having the same rights as real believers in God. Besides all that, whether or not Jesus was ever a true prophet, the words recorded of him can't be true because God is not a man. At any rate, no true man of God would claim to be God in the flesh, and no true man of God would ally himself with homosexuals and witches and atheists. That's why Joe Biden is not a true believer in God, and neither is Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been remarried, 4 times? And yet he claims the Bible is his favorite book. Did you know that the Bible tells you that you cannot remarry anyone when you're divorced except your first husband or wife? Unless they have died by a natural cause. And that means you can't murder them to get rid of them either, Christians. Some of you do. Some of you murder your spouse just to get rid of them, and yet you call yourself a Christian. You never knew God before then, and you never knew God after then. But the fact that he's been remarried 3 or 4 times, however many times, proves that he's just as big an adulterer now as he ever was. And besides all that, he's seen several prostitutes on the side that we know of. So Donald Trump doesn't believe in the real God. Donald Trump believes in Santa Claus, the same as Joe Biden and the Catholic Pope. They all support homosexuality. They all support abortion. They don't believe in the real biblical God. They believe in Santa Claus. They believe in a fairy tale they made up from their own imagination.